Hello, this is Domenico with Easynomics, and this is another quantitative practice question utilizing the production possibilities curve. This is part of a few playlists on the channel. One is the introduction of the circular flow and the PPC, along with some quantitative practice questions. There's also a dedicated paper 3 playlist, and it's also part of the playlist for supply and demand. This will all be linked in the video notes below. So let's go ahead and tackle this practice question. So here we have question number 3, which is a part of a series of questions within the playlist. It says here, figure 4 illustrates the production possibilities for wheat and barley in the Russian Federation. Resources in Russia are assumed to be fully employed, so we're using all of our land, labor, and capital, all of our inputs, and the most amount of outputs that can be generated is illustrated by this blue production possibilities curve. On the y-axis, we're measuring the quantity of wheat in millions of metric tons. On the x-axis, we're measuring the quantity of barley in millions of metric tons. So for this video, we're going to look at questions A and B, and then there'll be a link to the second part of this explanation, which will be a separate video tackling questions C and D. So let's go over question A. So as a student, I would be in the habit of kind of highlighting or underlining key points made within these questions. So it keeps your focus on what the question is asking of us. So assuming an initial production of 50 million metric tons of wheat, so we're going to find that point on the PPC curve. State the quantity. So this is what we have to do. State the quantity of wheat output. Fine. So we have to find what that is. As a result of a change in barley production, a decrease in barley production by 60%. So we have to illustrate a decrease in barley production by 60% and then figure out what is the quantity of output of wheat. Great. So I will ask you to pause the video now and try to attempt this question on your own. Please pause the video now. Okay, so what did you come up with? Let's take a look. Question A. Okay, first let's find the initial production. 50 million metric tons of wheat. So wheat is on the y-axis. We're looking for 50 million, which is right here. So we can go ahead and draw a line across, and that connects with the production possibilities curve. And that will also illustrate the level of barley output at 40 million metric tons. So I'm going to label that point A. So it keeps me mindful that this is our initial point. We're going to reduce barley production by 60%. So we're going to reduce 40 million by some amount. It's going to be decreasing. All right, I'm just drawing an arrow just to be mindful that I'm getting that decrease. And that's going to cause an increase in wheat production by a certain amount, which is what I have to figure out. Okay, so I'm trying to just understand what the question is asking of us. So we're going to reduce barley production. We're thinking about 60%. And we're thinking about this as a decimal value. 60 over 100 equals 0.6. Great. So I have an initial barley production of 40 million. So we have 40 million metric tons. I'm going to multiply that by 60%, and that will equal 24 million metric tons. And I'm going to subtract 24 from 40, and that will be a 60% reduction. 60% of 40 million is 24 million. So I have to reduce 40 million metric tons by 24 million metric units. That's going to set the output now at 16 million metric tons. So let me find that point. So from 10 to 20, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10 divided by 5, we're going up by units of 2. 10, 12, 14, 16. So 16 is right here. I'm going to make a note. There's 16 million metric tons. And I can see that the barley production is going to be reduced to that point. Okay? So I can then draw an arrow from 16 million to the PPC curve. And that's going to illustrate the level of wheat production. Okay? And that will take me to 70, 72, 74, 76 metric tons. So this wheat output is increasing up to that point. So farmers within this economy are reallocating resources away from barley production towards wheat production along this constant opportunity cost production possibilities curve. I'm going to label our final point here being point B. Okay. Now, I've arrived to this answer of 16 million, but we can also arrive to this answer another way. I can think about increasing 40 million or multiplying 40 million by 40% as opposed to 60%, which will give me the same output. You think about my initial 100% of barley production minus the 60% of barley production equals I'm now producing at 40%. So 16 million is the 40% output as a result of a 60% reduction in barley production. Okay, so I can take, again, 40 million metric tons multiplied by 0.4, and that also gives me 16 million metric tons. Either way is fine. Just showing you two different ways to arrive to that same answer. Great. So it says state the quantity of wheat output. All right, so we're going to answer that question. The quantity of wheat output as a result of a 60% reduction of barley is 76 million metric tons of wheat. Okay, so there we have our answer. I'll highlight that so it's clear for this video. So there's our answer, 76 million metric tons. So we're reallocating resources from point A to point B. We're moving along the production possibilities curve from A to B. And we can see that 40 to 16, that is a 24 million metric ton decrease. And then from 50 to 26, that is a 26 million metric ton increase. Great. So now let's move on to the next question. Question B. It says calculate the change. Calculate the change in wheat production as a result of a 60% decrease in barley production. So what's the change from going from 50 million metric tons to 76 million metric tons is what question B is asking us. All right, and change, we can think about percent change. We want to calculate what's the percent change in wheat production as a result of a 60% decrease in barley production. So I'm going to ask you to pause the video and calculate the percent change of wheat production for that question. Pause the video now. Okay, so percent change is a formula. It is the final value minus the initial value divided by the initial value times 100. So we should make some notes here. Here we have 40, which is the initial value, and 50, the initial value. And then we go to the final value of wheat barley production, and we go to the final value of wheat production. This is asking us to focus on wheat. So let's plug in those numbers. We have 76 million metric tons minus the initial of 50 million metric tons. I divide that by 50 million metric tons and multiply that by 100. And so that works out to 76 minus 50. 76 minus 50. Yeah, negative 26. Sorry, mental math, which I should have done. Negative 26 over 50 million metric tons. Right? And then you divide that and multiply it by 100. and then you're going to get an answer of 52 million. Or sorry, 52%. You're going to get a 52% increase in wheat production. And there we have the answer for question B. So just to reflect on that, to reduce barley by 60%, we increase wheat production by 52%. We get a 52% increase in wheat production. Okay, so to increase wheat production by 52%, the opportunity cost is a 60% reduction in barley production. I can also think of that ratio. We're gaining 26 million metric tons of wheat at the cost of losing 24 million metric tons of barley. Okay, so we've answered questions A and B. That will be it for now. The next video, which will be linked below, and at the end of this video, we'll go over questions C and D. If you have any questions, feel free to comment those questions below, and don't forget to subscribe and to like. Thanks so much.